Performing discovery for a large web build can be overwhelming with so many different moving parts to consider and so much information to gather. Without a thorough discovery, the project risks running into issues such as scope creep, or even an end product that just doesn't meet what your client expected. In this video, I'm going to share with you the key stages we go through in our discovery process. Hey, my name is Lee Matthew Jackson. I'm the host of the Trailblazer FM podcast. I'm an agency owner, and I'm proud to be here on the Conversio channel, sharing with you our experiences over the years. We learned the hard way many years ago that a thorough discovery is essential to keeping clients happy and to ensuring that we make a profit on a web project. The following are the 12 stages we now take all of our clients through, and please note there will be a worksheet available for you to download in the description of this video, so be sure to check that out. Download it and use that on your next discovery project. Step 1 is to establish clear objectives. This is where you want to define the goal of the website, the outcomes that the client is expecting. What is its purpose? Who is the target audience? This helps set the foundation for the entire project and ensures that everybody is on the same page. You may find without these that the document gets so far and then you have to start again as new objectives arise. Therefore, it's really important to take your time on this part, get everything right, get this section signed off before you move on to step 2, which is gathering initial information. This will be all materials regarding the existing website. So the existing branding documentation, the existing website itself, maybe access to the code, access to the back end, as well as any existing or planned content for the site. It's worth noting down any initial ideas the client has. Other important information would be key stakeholders, who is involved in the project, who are the experts within the business, who are the folks who will sign things off. There is more information on the information you can gather in the worksheet that is in the description below. Step 3 is stakeholder interviews. This is where you're going to interview all of the key stakeholders, understand what their workflow processes are, understand what their goals and objectives are too. You are always going to have the overall company goal, but equally the key stakeholders are going to want to get something out of this too. And it's important that we're accommodating everybody. We don't want to create an incredibly awesome website that achieves the overarching business goal, but creates an incredible amount of work for one of the folks within the business. To do this, we tend to have Zoom calls, which we will record and then we will transcribe after, and we'll then reverse brief all of the key bullets or the key findings of that meeting to the key stakeholder to make sure that we've captured everything that they shared. Many years ago, we would skip this process, and it wasn't uncommon for one of the key stakeholders within the business, who were also a decision maker, to come along and completely throw everything out that we've done so far, sharing expectations that hadn't been communicated by anybody else. In most cases, we'd probably have to start over, and that sucks. Step 4 is competitor analysis. With the help of the client, identify who the key competitors are and analyze their website, their brand, their messaging. Focus on the design and the functionality of their websites, what seems to work and maybe what doesn't. Document the key strengths and weaknesses of each one. Use tools such as SEMrush or Ahrefs to analyze their SEO strategies and traffic. Tools such as SimilarWeb will give insights into competitors' traffic sources, their best at performing content or audience. This allows us and the client to learn more about the industry, what is working and what isn't. I remember in the past we were told to build a website that looks and operates like our competitor, and that ain't a great idea. Number one, well, there's branding and everything, you probably could get sued, but secondly, it's very possible that their competitor's website isn't actually working very well. And we don't want to copy a bad idea. Step 5 is to define user personas. Here, we want to develop user personas for the key people who will be visiting the website. If there is a lot of admin in the back end, we'll also do this for the key people who will be operating the website. Visitor information you can gather includes demographic information, goals, preferences, and pain points. There's a great tool called Make My Persona by HubSpot. We'll pop a link in the description for you, which will enable you to create epic user personas. And you can also use analytics such as Google Analytics to look at the existing site to understand what existing audience behavior looks like. For inspiration, you could use the behavior of visitors on the existing website to help you understand the audience better. These user personas are going to dictate everything from branding, but also right through to the user interface. You may make different decisions based on different ages or abilities of the target audience. Step 6 is to audit current assets. That sounds super posh, but what that means is have a look at everything you possibly can on the client's existing website. That is obviously those Google Analytics I mentioned earlier, where you can understand what the general behavior of the audience is, but also pull other information if you can through services such as Hotjar, so you can understand their behavior on existing pages. What is working, what is not working. This is information you can't gather from competitor sites, but you can certainly gather this on the existing client's website. How is it performing? What does work right now? Because we don't want to break what works, and what doesn't work, well, that's what we want to fix. That's where we want to improve. You can also use tools such as Screaming Frog to help you analyze potential issues in their existing SEO. And we learned the hard way that this is a step you don't want to skip. When we launched a new client website, we were missing tons of content that we later found out were extremely popular. It was a few of the blog posts that were getting tons and tons of traffic. We and the client hadn't considered moving them over to the new website. We just thought it was surplus to requirement. And oh, were we wrong. The 404 error report went through the roof, and we quickly realized that people were still hitting those pages from the search engines and finding that beautifully designed 404 page that we'd put together. So yes, we had to react quickly and get that content back up online. And I'm not sure what the potential SEO impacts of that might have been, but we learned our lesson. Step 7. Define scope and features. Based on all the information that you've gathered so far, define the scope for this project. This is where we're going to make a list of all the features and functionalities that the website needs to have. In this section, we like to prioritize these features and align them with those all-important goals that our client has. For us, as we're quite visual, we'll tend to do this through a tool such as MindMeister. It's a flowchart mind mapping tool. By doing this, we get everything down on paper. We understand what it is that we have to build. We understand what the functions are that are expected, as does the client, because the client is going to be signing off this document, and then we can get cracking on the build, knowing that our client knows what to expect, we know what to build, and there's not going to be any unwelcome surprises later on. Step 8 is your technical specifications. We understand so much now from all the information that we've gathered, including if we have an existing website, the traffic, the sources of traffic and their behaviors. From the functionality, we understand how big a project this is going to be, how complex the site is going to be. So now at this stage, we can really start to unpack the tech stack that we're going to need. What CMS are we using? Is this going to be an e-commerce site with WordPress and WooCommerce? If so, what hosting are we going to need for the amount of traffic that we have? At this point, I would just say that Conversio do an incredibly cool service where they will have a consultation with you. You can share with them all the information that you have about your project, and they can help you understand what sort of hosting that you would need. I thought I'd have to throw that in. I'm on the Conversio channel. Come on, don't blame me. It's really useful. So be sure to reach out to them if you are working on a project right now, which is high traffic, high value, highly important to you, and you just want a little bit of help and advice, a pointer in the right direction. In the past, we've just made loads of assumptions because we haven't done all of the previous elements, all of that previous due diligence. We've just set clients up on a basic host, and then we've paid the price when the site goes live and everything falls apart. Not good times. So don't skip any of these steps. We do not skip any of these steps. Step 9 is to establish your budget and timeline. We've now gathered as much information as we possibly can to create those all-important estimates. And as long as the client's happy with those sorts of budgets, we also then need to establish the timeline. This is where you could probably watch my video on breaking down a big web project build. So we'll make sure we link that in the description of this video. Again, lessons learned from our agency in the past. Without all of this information gathering, without all of this due diligence, we didn't put forward the right estimate. Therefore, we and the customer had to cut corners, and frankly, we delivered a subpar website as a result. I hate admitting that. I don't look old enough, but I'm actually in my 40s, and I've been in agency life since 2006, 7-ish. So let's just blame me when I was young, and I made a lot of mistakes when I was young, and I've learned and I'm wiser now, and as you can see, I've got the toothpaste in my beard to prove it. Step 10 is to compile your findings. Get everything into a comprehensive discovery document. Be sure to include the goals, the user personas, competitor analysis, the scope, the features, the functionality, the technical requirements, the budget, the timeline, everything that you can in that document. This is going to be your roadmap to delivering an epic website for your clients. And again, lessons from our agency. This is essentially the theme, isn't it? Lessons from our agency. We have relied on our memory. We've relied on emails going backwards and forwards. So we've got all this information in disparate places, and we've forgotten things. We've had to run over budget, or we've made a loss because the client did say something, did mention something in an email ages ago during this process, and we're left carrying the can, having to develop something because we didn't have everything in one single source of truth, one document to rule all documents. Step 11 is to present your findings to the key stakeholders. Yeah, we're not finished. There's 11 and 12 to go, so hang in there. Remember, we've got that worksheet that you can download in the show notes to help you through this process. We like to arrange a meeting with all of the key stakeholders, and we then present the discovery document, reading through it and expanding on that in a recorded call or in a physical recorded meeting to help them understand the thought processes. We want to ensure that we are all on the same page, that we and the client are aligned in what the objectives are and what is going to be built. Again, what the budgets are and the timeline. And this is also a great opportunity for them to provide us with feedback, any final thoughts, any changes or edits that we might need to make. Since I've been sharing all of the lessons from the past, we've done discovery documents that we haven't then presented, and we then found that all the key stakeholders had very different expectations. We'd interviewed them directly, and they'd created an image in their mind of something that would work awesome for them, for their specific world. Because they hadn't been presented with the entire picture, they all had unique expectations from the project and were then surprised at the end result. So really important, gather everyone around, let's get everybody on the same page. We've heard you as the singular stakeholder, and here is the bigger picture with everything working together. And the final stage is to finalize your discovery document. That means getting all of that feedback and making all of those necessary adjustments to ensure that you and the client are in absolute agreement on all of the information that is gathered in there, all of the functionality, the budget, and the timeline. So you can go ahead and get sign off in order to begin your project. And again, there is the Managing a Web Build Project video link down in the description. Once we've finalized our documentation and edited everything, we will ensure our client has another read through and then signs it digitally. So for example, you could use a service such as DocuSign to get that signature. This finalized document is an accurate as you possibly can get representation of what your client's goals and objectives are and what it is that you are going to build for your client, along with all of the financials, etc. So if anything else happens outside of that document, i.e. scope creep, i.e. new ideas, etc., then it's fair game for that to be a separate discovery process and to see how that might impact this existing project and how you might be able to work that in. This is a great way of protecting you and the client, ensuring that the project doesn't go off in a random direction, doesn't go over budget, or doesn't stall. Everything that I've mentioned in this video is detailed down below in the video description, along with links to some of the tools that I have mentioned, and of course a link to that worksheet that should help you go through this entire process. It's completely free. It's what we use internally in our agency. Whilst you're down there in the details, why not scoot down to the comments and let us know what your processes are. What is the most important part of the discovery process in your business? What lessons have you learned? Since I've been really vulnerable and shared all of my mistakes, why don't you share some of your mistakes so I know that I'm not alone? Let us know in the comments and make me feel better. What lessons can we learn from your mistakes? Let's have a conversation. Whilst you're down there, be sure to hit that like button, press subscribe, and ding that bell notification icon. And if we don't see you in the comments, well, why don't we see you in the next video?